Now, when you look at GOCC and the doctrine that they have of fallen angels, that we know the Christian church had this before the slave ships came to America. You had this fallen angel doctrine. So we know where the doctrine comes from, because it don't come from GOCC. It was here before GOCC. See, and Yahweh said, who they ignorantly called Jesus Christ, he never spoke on any fallen angels, and he never spoke on any angels that was against God. So it's not his doctrine, not the doctrine of who they ignorantly call Christ. It's not his doctrine. So whose doctrine is it? Where did the doctrine come from? And that's a simple answer. We know who it come from. Come from the Roman Catholic Church, and it was never any Roman, because Roman is not a nationality, just like America is not a nationality. It was the Edomite Catholic Church. This is where that fallen angel situation came from. Because nobody, and I mean nobody in the scriptures, stated out of their mouth that angels was rebelling against God and that fell and was kicked out of heaven. But this is what the Christian church teach, and GOCC is trying to hang on to this teaching. So when you go to the scriptures, it's going to give a clear indication of what's going on. Now let's go to let's see here, Genesis 6, because this is where they come up with their stories in Genesis 6. And we're going to look at this ourselves. Genesis 6, it says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that were fair, not fallen angels, but the sons of God. See, the Israelites is called the sons of God. So, are the Israelites the angels? Is that what he's saying? Then look at verse 4. It say, there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men. So there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. So it's talking about men all the way through. Then look at the so-called punishment in verse 3. It says, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man. So man is getting punished because some angels came down and slept with them. Really? For that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So why would he punish man? Because the angels came down and slept with their daughters. That don't make any sense. The men wasn't going off. If the angels be going off and messing with their women, what are the men doing? You see, the issue was not about no fallen angel. That's a made up mess to back up the other lies that they was telling from Revelations and First Peter's. Now we're gonna go to Peter's because this is what the first verse that they run to. Peter. Okay, let's see. Angels that sin. See, this is what they do. 2 Peter 2:4. Okay, now let's go into this word. This is in the Greek now. So let's go into the word angel and see what we can get. Because this is, I mean, this is what the Strong's definition says. It says a messenger to bring tidings. It's a messenger. This is what the angel is. Some places it says the same Hebrew word or the same word it says messenger. They replaced it with the same word for angel. Angel is in the Bible 179 times, but that same word goes for messenger 7 times. So people are assuming that this word is talking about a spirit that don't have a body, and it just means messenger. But you have to understand what was going on in Genesis to understand who these angels or the sons of God was. So let's go into that to see who was these messengers that sinned. When you go into Genesis. Now, to understand Genesis, you got to go to Ezekiel, the 31st chapter. You got to go to Ezekiel, the 31st chapter. And look at, I'm going to just get to the point. Look at 5 through 9. It says, therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field. Now, mind you, let's go back up to verse 3. Because this is a dark saying and a similitude that Ezekiel was bringing out. So he said in verse 3, the Assyrian was the cedar in Lebanon with fair branches and with a shadowing shroud of an high stature, and his top was among the thick boughs. Now this high stature is the giants that was in the garden, and not giant as in size, but in same thing with this. This is not talking about the size of the man, and it's going to explain. Verse 4, it say the waters made him great. What we know, the living water that that the Messiah was talking to the lady at the well, the Samaritan at the well, and he was telling her about the living waters. And it says the waters is pretty much the truth, mainly God's laws. But let's go to verse 5. It says, therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. Okay, it says Verse 6, all the fowls of heaven made their nests in his boughs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under his shadow dwelt all great nations. You see, this is what it's talking about. In the Garden of Eden, it was great nations. And so these children of these daughters of men was from those great nations. But the sons of God was the tallest trees in the garden, in the field. They was a nation that was above all the other nations, just like the Israelites. Verse 7 say, thus he was fair in his greatness and in the length of his branches, for his root was great waters. See, that's the living waters. It says, verse 8, the cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of God was like unto him in his beauty. You see, verse 9, I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him. See, they envied Adam, who was that tall tree with high stature, that Lebanon tree, that cedar in Lebanon, and they envied him. They envied this nation, just like all the nations are angry. Why do the heathen rage? Because God chose a one nation to rule all the other nations, to be his special people above all other people upon the face of the earth. They envy this. They don't like this. It make them become enraged. Why do the heathen rage? Because God made these other nations the sons of God. Look at what it say in Psalms 82. It say, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. See, this is what that nation was in the garden. They were gods. They were the power that was naming the animals, keeping everything in order. They was like the nation of Israel. And these other nations hated that. But see, just like he told them in Deuteronomy 7:3, it says, neither shall you make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take for your son unto your son. So this is why they fail. This is why the powers, because that word angel, let's see if that word angel goes to it says a messenger, envoy, one who is sent, an angel messenger from God. But that angel, let's go to the Bible dictionary, because that angel also goes to, there we go. It goes to gods. See, that's what GOCC is not taking into consideration. Now they blocking my operation because I want it, but I can just go to any of them and just get angel anywhere. Come on now. There we go. Trying to get angel. Okay. This looks like a different angel. But it might be the one I'm thinking about. It says deputy, a messenger of God, an angel, ambassador, angel, king, messenger. Okay, this might not be the one I wanted. Now this Malak. Now the other one is, I want the yeah, I need the other one. It's another angel. Let's go to 2 Peter's chapter 2, verse 4. Let's go to that. All right, let's. Okay, let's go to this angel in the Greek. That's what I want. That's what I want. Let's get the angel in the Greek. Now, in the Greek, let's see. It says messenger, envoy, one who is sent, angel. Okay. Now let's go to alright, they're trying to slow me down. Hold on. Okay, it says compare. Okay, the root word. Well, let's go into these two here to bring. Okay, no, we're not looking for that. What I wanted, it was something that was saying, okay, show all. It was saying something about the gods. It might have been Elohim that was talking about the gods, messengers. Okay, yeah, they're not giving me what I'm looking for. New Testament. Anyhow, it's a lot. Anyhow, I made the point. These angels.
Strong's G32. Angelos.
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 Angelos is talking about the Israelites or the chosen bloodline. And he kept that bloodline going. That's why, let's go back to Genesis. He gave a bloodline. I think in chapter 504, he was breaking down the bloodline right here. Took it all the way to Enoch, Methuselah, and then he took it to Noah. So he was following the bloodline that came from that nation. You see, and that nation pretty much represented Adam represented the whole nation, like Israel represented the whole nation of Israel, Jacob. But he had children and they furthered the bloodline. So they furthered the bloodline and it went down to Noah. See? And Noah first the bloodline, and then it went down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. From Shem, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this is what the situation is. They went into darkness after they fell. They fell from being uh, having that the laws in their hearts and minds. Cause see, Adam and Eve, let's get that, they didn't know evil. Where is it? It says verse 5. It says, for God do know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened. See, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. See, they was already as God, and they eyes wasn't open to evil. They wasn't doing no evil. They was the nation that was dispersing the laws of God and keeping the order. That's why he said in 2, what he said in 2, verse 7, he said, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. That breath of life is the laws that he was given that nation to keep everything in order. That's why when he came a living soul, that's because he was given the breath, just like, let's get that in Revelation. This will give an example of what he was talking about. Revelation, I'm in 11. Revelation 11 and 11, it say, after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And great fear fell upon them that which saw them. Now, in verse 8, it says, and their dead bodies lie in the street of the great city. So they was dead, but the spirit of life fell into them, came into them, and that spirit of life is the living waters that he was talking about when he the Samaritan woman, when he was giving the water to the Samaritan woman, the living water. Let me get that in John. I'm still trying to explain too much. John, okay, chapter 4. And it says, Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drink of this water shall thirst again. Verse 14, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I will give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. See, if they wouldn't have messed with these other nations, they would have had everlasting life. But as soon as they went to messing with these other nations, then they fell. See, and the main party, they start sleeping with these other nations, sleeping with their daughters and having children. Now this John, okay, I want 7 and 38. It say, he that believe on me, as the scripture has said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. See, that's why he said, they believe on me, you get everlasting life, because he's gonna give the living water. See, he's gonna give them the living water, and that's gonna bring the spirit of the spirit of life from God into them, and they're gonna live, become a living soul. Because just like Ezekiel 37, with the valley of the dry bone. They're gonna become a living soul when they get the living water. And so that's what the Garden of Eden thing was about. It was not about no angels that fell out the sky and they was they sinned against God. No, Adam and Eve was the nation, was the sons of God. The nation of Adam was the sons of God that fell, and they was put into darkness, and where they had to deal with the serpent and his seed. That's what Jacob and Esau come into the matter, and Esau is that adversary, Satan. Let's get that in Revelation. Everything that they presented to us in Christianity is a lie. Look at this. It says, the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceives the whole world. This is not talking about no freaking fallen angels. This is the great dragon. Go back up to verse 3. The great dragon consists of 7 heads and 10 horns. Then let's go to 17 real quick. What is the 10 horns? The 10 horns, verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou saw are 10 kings. See, these are kings, kingdoms. Satan, the devil, is kingdoms. The red dragon is 10 kingdoms, being controlled by America, Babylon the Great, being reigned over. Let's get that real quick. Say the woman which thou saw is the great city that reigned over the kings of the earth. That's the woman was riding on the 10 kings, riding on the dragon, the red beast. Because beast and the dragon, the red beast and the red dragon, the same thing. Just talking about the nation of Edom. And they are Satan, the devil. And Satan just means to deceive. And the devil Satan means adversary. And the devil means to deceive. So just titles. The serpent means subtile beast. A sneaky lying subtile beast. So all of these are just names for the red dragon. The red dragon is the nation. Let's go at the 12 real quick. 12. You had the nation of Israel is the woman with the 12 stars on her crown, who had the Messiah. And the red dragon was the Romans, the people that was calling them, the Edomites that was calling themselves Romans, that was standing over them. Look at verse 4. It say, he drew a third of the stars from heaven and did cast them to the earth. See, that's not talking about some angels. That's talking about the Romans, the Edomites that was over the 3 tribes of Israel, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They was cast them to the earth because they was not ruling in their own homeland. The dragon was ruling in their homeland, had them in captivity, and Pontius Pilate and Herod was ruling over them, 2 Edomites. You see, so this is what the misconception is, that it was some fallen angels. No, that was a misunderstanding. And look at what second Ezra say. Second Ezra 14. He said to Ezra, he said, I told him he told Ezra about Moses. He said, I told Moses many wonderful things and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, these words shall you declare, and these shall you hide. So he hid things with Genesis. He didn't just come straight out and say he had a chosen bloodline that he started out with, and that chosen bloodline start sleeping with the women of the other nations and that was in the garden. See, he didn't just come out with it. He hid some and he declared some. Now let's look at the end of this. Where is it? Verse 46. I think it's 46. It says, let's get 45 too. It says, and it came to pass when the 40 days were filled, and the highest spake, saying, the first that you shall have written, publish openly. That's what he said, declare, that the worthy and unworthy may read it. 46, he say, but keep the 70 last, that you may deliver them only to such as be wise among the people. So only the wise was going to understand Genesis and see that it was talking about a chosen nation, just like the nation of Israel. And they was sleeping with the other nations and dealing with the other nations, doing wickedness like the other nations, pretty much dealing in sin and being disobedient. And they had told them not to deal with the other nation on that level. And so this is what happened in the Garden of Eden. But only the wise will understand that. See, he said he told him to declare, to publish it openly, so everybody, the worthy and the unworthy, can read it. But only the wise was going to be able to understand what it truly meant. And so anyhow, this is the problem with the GOCC. They thinking that there's some fallen angels following the lies of the Edomites, and the Edomites using that to hide themselves, like Jeremiah 49:10. They trying to hide themselves, and the greatest hiding place that they got is behind under this fallen angel doctrine. But I'm going to leave it there. All praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, descendants of slaves scattered around the globe. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.